public community meeting. There is time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. So, we will all please stand for pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Fetters? Here. Mr. Gilmore? Here. Mrs. White? Here. Mrs. Paulus? Here. Mrs. Piper?
Here. Dr. Ken Steezing is unable to attend with us tonight, and so I apologize for missing you. It's a pain. And you have me, who a dermatologist got a hold of, and I look a bit like a leopard, so I apologize for that. Do I have a motion to set the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second. Okay, motion made by Mr. Gilmore, seconded by Mrs. Piper. One call roll.
Mr. Gilmore? Aye. Mrs. Hoying?
Aye.
Mrs. Paulus?
Aye.
Mrs. Piper?
Aye.
Mr. Fetters?
Aye.
Reception of the public. Mr. Lorge, Mr. Scott. Is that all you guys put the button message? No.
Now it is. Good evening. A couple of weeks ago, CEA appointed a media spokesperson, a person to become the voice of CEA. And what I would like to do is introduce Steve Stewart, who is our voice for CEA in all matters that are public and potentially for the meeting. And so with that, Steve. He'll continue the CEA presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I think I know a lot of people here. Some of you I do, some of you I don't, but that's okay. My name is Steve Stewart. I'm a special education teacher here at the high school, and in my 9 years employed as a special education teacher, I've taught reading, math, history, science, government, and job training. This requires me to obviously go beyond my core status as just a reading and a transition to work teacher. Those that know me know that teaching is actually my second career. I made this choice because I wanted to work in a field where I could do something for a greater cause. I'm sure that's what about every other teacher here probably says too. I grew up watching my parents run a small business, and I was even part of that business. A small business knows the importance of creating a great community. I have no doubt a school district understands this too. However, in all my work prior to teaching, and all my work prior to whatever it is that I've done, I've never felt so unappreciated as we do now. On behalf of all Celina teachers, CEA is ready and willing to continue negotiations. We ask that you please go back to the table now and settle this contract. Our goals are simple. 1, to have a district that invests tax dollars back in the classroom in order to educate students. 2, to invest in education that prepares Celina students for successful and meaningful futures. 3, to retain and attract highly qualified teachers, which compete with neighboring communities for the sake of our students. Thank you.
Go ahead and call and get the negotiations for mediation renewal. I guess the thing that has hard, is the respect and appreciation for what you do. I think we have the finest group of teachers in our district to go up against anybody. I love the teachers, we love our teachers. So we want to get resolved and get back to doing what you all do best. Teaching the students in Celina schools, doing the fabulous job you always do. So thank you. Martha, Dave, had anything more they want to report? Thank you. Okay, Carol Henderson from Oaks.
Thank you very much. I just have couple of things that are very simple. I, as president of OPSI and supporter of our teachers, our classified staff, I just want everyone to know that our community is very upset. They're very eager to get everything settled and so that life can go on and we can get everybody back and be a happy community once again.
Good evening, everybody. And for most of you, you do know who I am, but for those of you who do not know me, I am Tracy Danmeyer, and I am the Special Ed Director here in Celina. So it's nice to see all of you here. Tonight, I would just like to share with everyone and with the board our annual special education rating that did come out from the Ohio Department of Ed, the Office of Exceptional Children. I did give the board members a handout so that they can visually see what I am speaking about. The rating is divided right now into two separate categories. One is our actual rating that we got this year, and there's also a projected rating for following years to come. So what I'm going to first do is just talk about what our rating is currently. The state rates us in a total of 7 categories at this point. For example, some of the categories are disproportionality in our special education categories. And what the state looks at there is, are we identifying students of race or ethnic groups more so than students, who aren't in a specific ethnic group? And an example of another category that they would rate us in is our timely initial evaluations that we do. When a student gets referred for a special education assessment to see if there is a disability, we only have 60 days to get all of our assessments completed and to meet with our parents to share results. Last year, we did complete 66 initial evaluations here at Celina, and we were 100% on time with all of our assessments and meeting with parents and things like that. A third area that a state will look at when they're rating our special education department even deals with our preschool children. There are certain laws that when a child who is 3 years old and has a suspected disability, there's timelines that go into place with that also. And we were found compliant with all of our preschool children also that have disabilities. So like I said, there are 7 categories that are each worth 4 points as rated by the state, and we received 4 points in all of our categories. So that was very good. So we're doing excellent there. I'm going to flip real quick to the projected rating that they will give us. So in addition to our compliancy issues, making sure we're meeting our timelines and following all of our paperwork correctly, they will look at student achievement also. So they want to make sure our special education students are achieving as much as they can. So next year, they'll also look at our students who are proficient, at that proficient category in reading. They will look at our students who are proficient in math, and they will also look at 3rd grade reading guarantee. Are our 3rd graders on target? Because we know what research says about students who are reading on grade level by 3rd grade. And I'm happy to report also that all of our percentages in that area, we would be found compliant also. So overall, our special ed department is doing a wonderful job. So I commend those teachers, but I also want to thank all of our regular education teachers. And you guys are doing an excellent job with our students also, because we know here at Celina, we try to keep our identified students learning with their peers as much as we can. So I want to thank all of you for doing a wonderful job with all of our students. Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions for me on the rating?
That looked very good.
Yes, I'm very pleased.
If it did,
Like I said, it's our teachers here that are doing all the hard work. They're doing an excellent job. So.
Like I said earlier, we have a very excellent staff. My staff, excellent. Thank you, Tracy, and thank all of you. Okay, Tim Busher, have an update on TriStar 2.0.
Thank you, I apologize. A couple of teachers when I came in said we're tired of seeing you in the paper and stuff. TriStar has been in the paper a lot lately, which I think is a good thing. Here quickly to update you, I know we talked a couple months ago on TriStar 2.0, and that's our initiative to actually have our own facility. I don't know how many of you know, we're at 6 locations right now, about 42 bus routes, and it's a little difficult. But starting tomorrow, we're actually meeting with the Facilities Commission. We get a meet down there to see how much the state might help us pay for this. It's obviously, we've had over 40 meetings since about February 23rd. And I know Mick's been involved. We've had our teachers from one of our schools visit other facilities. What we're hoping to do is actually build one facility at Wright State Lake. Wright State Lake campus has agreed to allow us to build on or near their campus. And that's a huge step for us. We'd be the first school, we're compact, actually the first career tech planning district in Ohio to be on a 4-year university campus. So that's kind of neat stuff for us. You know, TriStar started about 32 years ago, so at that time we're on kind of cutting edge. We're not probably as much cutting edge at this point, but we're going to try to get back to that. And I know Jared Evans has been talking, what do we want our communities to look like in 10 years? And this is something very important that I think we need. It's one of the few times, the most negative comment I've heard from somebody is, why didn't you do this 10 years ago? And that's pretty neat and stuff. And I know a lot of our superintendents have visited Millstream up in Finland as a JV or as a compact like us. And in November 2nd, we're going to have another tour. So board members, we invite all the other 9 school districts. Mr. Stetler's doing it right now in Knoxville to come and tour with us. Because that day, Celina teachers and co-wire teachers will be, the TriStar will be visiting Millstream. But all of our superintendents have gone through that, walked in there and go, wow. And we walk out and go, wow. That, you know, what our kids are opportunities. We don't have the most equipment in the world. Even if we did, we couldn't fit it in some of our programs. So, you know, what's kind of neat is that we had a report card, and 95% of our kids stay around here and get jobs. And right now, I know anybody's manufacturing a lot of our jobs, they need bodies. Companies will probably not be expanding in the future if we don't find some people. And I know Friday we had about 50 people from the state of Ohio come visit TriStar. They were amazed in several things. One, how in the heck do you get to 6 locations in a day? And 2, some of the neatest classrooms. I said, well, we have to because we can't stack stuff on each other. So we do get good things and good accomplishments. So what we have met several times, and one of the biggest problems we have are issues of what programs we want to start. So we don't want to screw this up if we get this opportunity. And we'll keep most of our programs we have. We're going to tweak a couple, but what do we add? And we've had Wright State's been involved, other colleges. Kevin, you've probably seen it. You probably do this speech. You've heard this many times. You know, what are we looking at for special needs kids? You know, what jobs are out there? So we're excited. Tomorrow will be a big day for us. And basically, you know, what do we want to look like in 10 years? Because there's communities in this state that's, and this is an interesting stat, and I'll be done if you have any questions. People between 19 and 39 years old have kids. That's what companies look at. Mercer and Glaze County, we are actually increasing. There's communities that are dropping that age group between 20 and 35%. I can tell you companies don't go there. That's coming from Jared Evans. I'm not that smart to know that stuff. But that's important for us. And we want to have opportunities because around the country, there are companies that look at what kind of facilities we have, especially for skilled labor and for the jobs that our students do. So our timeline, I get this asked a lot, what are we looking at? We want to go as fast as we can, and hopefully in the spring have something that we will be looking at trying to pass. But obviously it will depend tomorrow what happens with the Facility Commission. And I'd be remiss, this happened in a 12-hour time span in June, the state budget. Mr. Faber got this in 12 hours. We had probably 20 or 30 emails and phone calls in a 12-hour period to get this in the state budget. And I want to tell you, this is how it was written up and how it'll be done. It allows a compact that has 9 school districts that are adjacent to 2 counties that have between 40 and 50,000 people. One is a city district, Celina. One's an accepted village district, Coldwater. And one of the counties has to be beside another state. I wonder who that was. So I'd like to thank him. And any questions at this point, I'd be happy to entertain.
How soon do you report the chat from what you find out tomorrow?
Probably tomorrow afternoon or the next day. Yeah, I try to keep now. I know when we started this early on, there was a lot of behind-the-scenes things we had to do because of the state legislators. Now it's public, so I can email like board members and superintendents, and I did today, I think. Excuse me, and then we'll be doing more of that down the road as we find out more with bonding and those types of things.
But you feel they'll be prepared to give you some indication of where they might go after tomorrow's meeting?
Yeah, there's 3 ways it can go. Actually, the Facilities Commission has 2 ways, and Mr. Faber wrote a 3rd way, which he would like to see. And his way would be they would pay half no matter what we want. Now, yeah, we're not going to do a Taj Mahal, okay? That's the one thing I think we still as taxpayers, we want something that's functional, that will help us train our students, but also have programs that our students need. And that's what we're going to try to do and be nice, because I know that Millstream is a perfect, we like that. If we could build Millstream, put it here, that's pretty cool. Our teachers have seen that already, the ones that have seen that really like it. But some of our programs would be 2.5 times bigger in size, because that's the minimum standards. Is that it?
That's very exciting for our students and our community, so we wish you the best of luck tomorrow.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, I'm excited.
Really cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. The next item we have, we put always another item 5, is reception of the public. And I did put a paper out there in case anybody wanted to address the board. And Dean's checking if there's anybody on the list. I thought maybe there would be several, so I wanted to find it in order. Thinking along with the long way around, Michelle. Okay, well, I mean, there's nobody signed off, so I guess I'll have to worry about who gets to go first. Is there anybody that wanted to say anything else for the public? Okay. All right. Oh, yeah.
I guess I was curious,
Okay, wait, 1 second, JT. You just have to say your JT, and you, because you have to put this in the minutes. Okay, thank you.
my name is Jake here, and honestly, I put something in the paper the other day, and honestly, I'd like to see both sides work together. Because obviously, for the community, you want to have a positive impression with the community. You also want to make sure that your teachers feel appreciated. And I guess one thing that bothered me is the fact that we got a lawyer involved on your side. Why can we not sit down
His hourly rate is about $250 an hour. We have paid $18,000 to date.
I would like to add, though, CEA requested traditional bargaining this year. And normally that means they bring an OEA rep and the board brings their attorney. In every school district that I have any knowledge of, and I worked in one and I negotiated in one, that is standard procedure when it's traditional bargaining.
No, I mean, that's something that I'm just asking the question, and, to me, we're paying taxpayer funds, you're paying possibly teacher funds, is something that can be resolved when you're paying an outside person, and it seems like it's the wrong direction, and that's my viewpoint, looking from the outside.
And if there is a CEA rep here that would like to discount what I just said, I will be more than welcome to be set in my place.
I guess I don't understand it. Then are you upset that the CEA has a representative from the state also?
Is the CEA's representative paid for by their funds?
I would assume. I don't know.
So that it's not, it's already being paid for.
Okay, but I don't understand where they get to be represented by somebody that knows negotiations, knows the process, knows how things are supposed to go, and then we are not allowed that privilege.
Well, I understand.
Are you following?
I do understand, but you also have an attorney on the board.
JT, we can't hire him. It's against the law.
Okay. But I mean, I think that you've been involved in negotiations before.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that you have an understanding how the process works.
And
correct?
the attorney has been around for everyone except for last time, correct?
I think there have been 2 times in almost 15 years.
In the last 15 years, the attorney has not been. And that was, and last time it was a contract bargaining, which is very different in a sense than anything. Yes, he's a lawyer, but if boards all around don't have the luxury of having a lawyer on the board.
I understand.
I'm a physical therapist.
I understand that, looking at contracts and understanding the contracts in detail, that's something that he's gonna have some knowledge of based on his profession.
But JT, it's not something that I do every day. And the OEA rep, that's all she does.
Well, and correct me again if
For a
I'm
large portion, she goes around and helps unions negotiate contracts.
and again, correct me if I'm wrong, any one of you, your dues pay for the right to have that representation by an OEA rep at the table. Now, I am a firm OEA supporter. I always have been. But what I am hearing is not the whole side of either side. Daryl, I agree with you that this community, if we cannot sit down and hash this out, it's going to hurt. It's already hurt.
That was a good question to start with, JT, for that understanding. I know when I came on board. So what happens that unions approach us to which type of bargaining they want? Traditional bargaining, which took place this year, or the compressed bargaining, which we have done in the last 2 current times. And then, yes, it's just whatever format that they ask for, traditional bargaining. Anything else?
Just real quick, I'm Lori Baker. I live in the district. And I teach in New Bremen, and it's not standard negotiations in New Bremen to have a lawyer or the OEA rep present. So it's not standard at all districts. We meet without either one present.
And that is an option. That was an option that we had this time. What we did last time and the time before. Whatever the union requests of us, their request for the type of bargaining, that's what we've gone with. I mean, I've been on the board prior to that, it's really what the union requests, the type of bargaining, compressed, like you're talking about, like in New Bremen, we do them 2 times before, or if they want traditional bargaining, which is what occurred this time, with their representation and then an attorney
perhaps I was too broad. My experiences were that when OEA was with us, and then when I was doing the negotiating, our board had an attorney with them in the last, since economics got really tough. I'll put it that way. But that's water under the bridge. I'm retired. That doesn't apply to our situation at all. I should not even told.
But here to there, it's like let's again move down to business and get it resolved, so we can all go back to doing what we do best. We all can spend evenings with the family, and we, get back with the students that we don't care about. Okay. Anything else from the public? Anyone else have anything? Yes.
How much does it cost the district per percentage that's added to the base salary?
Can you say your name and your
Tom
address?
Buckner, I'm a citizen,
Okay.
and probably Nick can answer that.
Can I get your name again? First, I'm sorry, everybody keeps talking.
First name's Tom,
Okay.
last name's Pottkotter, Pottkotter. And my question is, how much does it cost the district per percentage that's added to the base salary?
It's really a difficult question to answer because there are steps involved as well. The easiest way to answer it would say that the contracts of the teachers last year were about $11 million in total. So about 1% of that would be about $110,000.
But now a lot of higher experienced teachers have retired, so that should decrease, shouldn't it?
Correct.
For that percentage?
Correct, yeah. That was what it was at the end of fiscal year 15, so. Yep.
How many retirements did we have this year?
I believe we had 8.
8.
There wasn't as many just a couple years prior.
Yeah,
The masses have lost that.
2013, I believe, was the big year for retirement.
Right. Any other questions?
Michael Burke. You said you had 8 teachers retired last year. How many younger teachers left the district because of these that you have right now? And how many will leave next year if you don't give them a fair salary schedule this year?
Mike, I do not know, it brought to me that we knew that we were told it was about salary. I know of none. I'm not saying there isn't any, but we're not aware of that. I'm aware of a couple that left making more money, but there were other things going on in their lives that helped them make that decision that they verbalized. I'm not saying there wasn't any. We're not aware of that. We know that it's potentially part of the decision.
If you're not aware of that, you're not listening to the public at all.
We're hearing from the public. I'm hearing people saying they left because of money. Upon further, but they didn't tell us that. The individuals. Upon further assessment of some of that, there were some other reasons that were voiced. This I can only speak personally. And again, that's why we're addressing some of those issues, so bringing up our salaries, and in the contract.
The nature of how negotiations have gone and the freezes that have gone statewide, it's not an only Celina thing. Anybody that came to our district also made more money because they were able to go to a Sept that they weren't able to be at the district that they were previously at. Anybody that left here was able to go in that year that they were supposed to be at before freezing. So it was a natural phenomenon all across the state that if you were 0 to 5 and you left, you most likely would have a very significant raise because you were placed at your new district at the step that you should have been. Okay? That is not Celina only. Okay? So I think when it can go both ways, we want to attract those people, I understand. But the hard part about it is, without going into detail, we believe that trying to, we believe that putting as much money on that base is beneficial.
I agree.
couldn't tell you.
That's back in this contract also, sort of more about the.
There is
the
only
teacher's
a,
salary schedule.
I can't answer.
Yes, he can. You know, I wish we had some money trees that we were growing in the lawn, in the yard. I really, really do. But to answer your question, she talks about it in education across the state. I'm in healthcare. Same thing happened in our organization. That's frozen. They did return. So it has to do a lot with the economy and the money that we take in. And hopefully, as things are improving the economy, things can be closed. Okay,
I've kept quiet most of the time, but some of the things that you're telling me is bothering me. Number one, most of you, I was in on helping hire. I think I'm smart, and I think you're the best I can get. And when you tell me our good teachers are leaving, what do you think my impression is? I hired a bunch of people that are incompetent. I don't think I did. And so when you tell me all of our good teachers are leaving, what does that tell me about you? It tells me that I made a mistake if that's all my good teachers are gone. I think you're all good. I just complimented Mark George tonight for something that he did 8 years ago. Jackie, I see you doing it. You know what? I give you all the credit in the world for my granddaughter.
So much for you. And I think that you say those things, and do you know what it does to me personally?
But I think you're the best.
Yes.
Did you give my granddaughter great grades? I think you're the best. I think I did a good job. I think we hired the best. I don't think we're losing all of our good teachers, but I think you're all good.
You're basically saying you have 100% good teachers. Okay? And when you say you lost some, they really mean they lost some good and all the great ones are still remaining. We understand that.
To say collectively that the ones we're leaving are the ones that we want here.
But in response to that, I don't recall ever reading a resignation that stated salary as a reason. No, but you're saying that we are not listing salary. Please let me finish. You're saying we aren't listening to the community. The community has been asked blanketly to support without knowing what they are supporting. Pardon? When you go to businesses, and the little gal in where I work part-time that received your flyer, we love Celina teachers, told me tonight that they were asked to put up this sign so our kids would feel safe. I talked to the person who took the flyer from whomever brought it to the business. So, which community am I supposed to listen to? I've had 3 contacts, period. JT, no slant, but you wrote your letter before the posting was on the webpage. Correct. All I'm saying is, before you support something, I think you truly need to know what you are supporting. Supporting teachers and kids is totally different than breaking the bank in 5 years.
I understand you don't want to break the bank. Okay, I understand that. I run a business.
Right.
Okay, and I have to make decisions on what I pay employees. Okay, and if I don't pay good employees a competitive rate compared to where else they can go, they have a decision to make of whether I go for more money or do I stay where I am. The reality is, as a business person, I want the best people possible that I can employ. And if somebody comes to me and they've been offered a job, and I've got to give them an increase to match what they're going to get, and I want to keep that person, that's what I'm going to do. Because I am here to take care of my business. If I take care of people, you take care of your business.
Right.
You're right. And if this was my business and I was going to take those risks, that's fine. But see, you have to understand, this is not our own business. We represent the taxpayers of our district. And we've had taxpayers talk to us about, well, don't you dare talk to us for any sort of levy. You need to make cuts. You need to increase your class size, or you need to cut programs. We're not going to give you more money. Okay? Now, the last thing that I want to do is eliminate teachers, because I think we need every single one of them. I think we could use more, but we can't afford them. We need every single teacher. I don't want to increase the class size. I want to deliver the quality education that our students are continuing to receive. I don't want to eliminate programs. I think that choir and band and our sporting events and all those things are essential to the development of the students. So I don't want to be stuck between the community and the the needs of our students and cutting it back. Because I do remember well, a number of years ago, when that was presented to the voters, they had to pass the levy, or we were going to lose all those things. Honestly, you know what I did? I started looking at other school systems because I didn't want my kids in that sort of system. And one of these days, taxpayers may call our bluff. I don't want that for our students. I want us to be financially responsible to this community and delivering the best quality education with the top-notch teachers that we can get. And it's not all about money. It is a lot about money. Trust me, we want to pay you the best, the most we can afford. And hopefully there'll be, we were ecstatic when we were getting more state funding this year from the governor. I was so happy. Happy to give you guys a break. Rejoicing about that. You know, the challenge is with the funding we get. We're trying to give you as much as we can and not go into deficit spending. Okay, that is their responsibility. We have to strike that balance. How we're going to divide that money. It also gets into a lot of, the teamwork we bring together. Yes. Spending more than we're taking in. Now I know that we have a reserve. Getting into a reserve is money that once it's gone, it's gone. There's no money coming in. How much is that? That varies on whatever month and time of the year. But right now, I think you all know what that is.
At the end of fiscal year 2015, it was $8.5 million. We've since taken in taxes. We have 4 months out of the year where we have positive or surplus. There's 8 months out of the year we deficit spend. So we really have to look at what the end of the year balance is compared to the year prior, and then our best estimate for the year going forward.
What was it on the 5-year forecast?
It was $8.5 million at the end of fiscal year 2015. Right now I have it set at about $1.5 million. That's without any increases.
When you start spending that savings account and not having it being replaced, it eventually runs out. You have no more of that savings. We didn't lower the millage had to be. I'm going to turn this over to Mick to explain why.
That was actually a voted fixed sum levy of $4.9 million. That will continue to adjust as property tax valuation goes up. That will always generate $4.9 million. So the mills will go down as the property tax valuation goes up.
We had a time for millage to what was approved or voted was a certain dollar amount. And then because of the taxes and so forth, we had to lower the millage to bring in that fixed dollar amount. We had to bring in this many dollars. And so that's why it had to be, the millage was lower to bring in the fixed dollars. It wasn't based on the millage, then based on that, when the property values were more, it would be up more.
Can you help me understand this then? So like the reserve is what you have for purchases, for emergencies?
How many of you have a savings account?
Nobody.
Okay. So you have a savings account. What do you do with that savings account?
1/3 of what you pay your employees?
No, never. Jackie, I equate this to me dipping into my retirement to pay off my car.
Does the state tell you a certain percent, like a certain number you should keep in your reserve?
I don't think it's a mandated type of
What do
thing.
you recommend?
I guess most people consider, well, is there a
There is no state mandated.
Right, but is there a recommendation?
There is no recommendation. I think a good number to look at would be about 90 days. We are slightly above that.
How many days are we? Can you tell me?
I believe about 114. It's essentially taking your expenses, dividing by 365, and coming up with how many days you have to spend.
The problem is like she said, once you spend that reserve, it's gone. So it becomes exponential, okay? So if we do a salary increase into that reserve, the 8.5 million becomes 7 the next year, and then it becomes 6.5 or whatever the next year. And in the next 5 years, it's gone. Completely. Because we're deficit spending. We are spending more than we're bringing in. So there's no way of making it more.
See, how that became a reserve is we took our income and our expenses, and then there's the difference, that positive difference. So that's how that reserve can grow.
And it's been going down since.
Well, we had 4 years of deficit.
But we have been deficit spending through all of this time still. As it
We've had a surplus the last 2 years. 4 years prior to that, we lost over $6 million.
We have spent a number of years of deficit spending, and like we said, finally the last 2 years, we are not
Even
deficit
with
spending.
contracts that we have.
Liz, what does it cost to run the district for a year?
28, $29 million
28
of
or
the general
$29
fund.
million of the general fund, exactly. And then for some reason, and it hopefully would never happen, the state said, no money. If the state said, then everything depends upon local dollars and our reserve.
And if we don't have our money, then we lose on our local dollar.
JT?
This reserve that you have, what type of interest, or are you able to take this money that you have in reserve and invest it?
I am, but the state limits my investments to things that have no risk. Yeah. So I can do CDs, I can do money markets, I can do things like that. But I'm not.
So I understand right now with interest rates being low that you're not earning a lot on that, but there should be some interest that you're making off that money.
Correct.
Okay, what, over the past year, do you have any idea what you've made in interest?
No, I don't, but I can tell you that, I don't have that number on, but I do know that I can get about 25 basis points, which is 1/4% for a money market. My best CDs get me 1%, if I go 2 years. So, take $8.5 million times, 0.5%, and that's about your interest for a year, approximately.
You also understand we have very aged buildings. We're having difficulty getting the levy passed to get the buildings. We spent about $250,000 just recently between roofs, a boiler, and an air conditioner, and the other one's ready to go out. Our buses, if you were following that in the paper, we have a very aged fleet, and just purchasing a lot of buses. Our textbooks are behind. We've had to install a lot of technology. So if you read the paper also too, just to bring us up to standard in recent years, we're talking about 3 years out, it's going to cost us $10 million. So $9 million in a reserve sitting in these buildings with the challenges we have, it'd be very difficult to, or maybe particularly responsible to bring it down to nothing. We have a lot of unexpected bills. Something that I just heard in the last couple of weeks was down. We were going to double besides the truck.
We've had
Something else.
a PA system at the East Building. We've had a water heater at the middle school.
Steamer here, wasn't there a steamer here in the kitchen?
Yes.
Yes, anyway, that's on and on. We have a lot of challenges dealing with our buildings and communities. And you see, once we commit out of the reserve for salary that's not being replaced, we're putting ourselves into a very difficult challenge, because what happens when that money's gone? What's That's fine. People, we don't want to eliminate our teachers. We don't want to have to increase our class sizes. And we don't want to eliminate programs. So we have a very, very difficult challenge as board members. It's not easy. We got to balance and be responsible fiscal agents for this community, and at the same time trying to provide the finest buildings and the finest teachers to deliver the best education to our kids. And that's what we're struggling to do.
If I may add, for any other community members and teachers as well, there's not a person sitting up here that did not want to present you a fair contract. Big problem is who decides fair. Are we talking base pay? Are we talking into the line at double the base pay? Are we talking what teachers contribute for insurance? Or are we talking the severance package that is the wishful hope of the world? Which fair do we want to go with? And this kills me inside to have to say out loud, because as a former teacher, I know how important those things are to you, but it is a reality. We can no longer afford to do all the things that once was done here in Celina, and being the leader in all areas. That financially just can't happen. I'm sorry, I'm done. I think it's time for sure.
Okay, yes, over here. Okay, Matt.
This is Matt Overman. I'm a community member. And so, board, I want to thank you for the job that you do. Teachers, I want to thank you for the job that you do. But if you're saying that we continually to deficit spend, then it sounds to me like we need to inform our community and we need to put a levy to break the money in. Because if we can't...
We have our first volunteer to run that.
Well, you know that I was there, Cindy. You know that I was there. And we worked our tails off to try to get that building thing done.
Right.
I can tell you, I wouldn't touch a building levy with a 1,000,000-foot pole, because in this community right now, it ain't going to pass. But if we can get our community involved to fund our education, because our buildings look good on the outside, it's an ignorant excuse, and I know that. It's an ignorant excuse, but if we can fund our community to say we need to fund our children and our education, we can't continue to deficit spend. We can't continue to go down the path that we're on. So then we need to be thinking outside of the box as to how do we do that.
And that's why community-led levy campaigns have been the most successful in Celina.
So when
because we go out there, we just want to give the teachers. The teachers go out there, they just want it for themselves.
Right.
This community, as I have learned over the last 16 years, I'm talking voters. Voters, what we see at the elections. Voters say, we're not paying more on our residential taxes.
But we just voted 0.5% in for the city of Celina. So I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I understand that. But then we just, in the city of Celina, we just voted in 0.5% tax.
That's a smaller group than the whole Celina school district, which includes the farming community and all the outlying areas that no longer support us because of the cuts we had to make several years ago.
Yeah, the farmers, unfortunately, their property taxes for some have like tripled and more, so it's very difficult for them right now.
So what other tax options are there for schools other than a property tax?
Income tax,
yeah, property and
yeah, I'm Mandy Decorn. I teach at the elementary school, and I just want to say that new buildings are fantastic and beautiful, and we would all love to have one being at West Elementary, but that means nothing if those classrooms aren't led by phenomenal, exceptional teachers to lead those students and teach them. In reserve, did mine and my colleagues taking 0% over the last few years and my steps being frozen for the last 5 years, did that help get the $8.5 million in that reserve? Or what happened?
Like I said, over the last 2 years we've had a surplus. Most of that $8 million was attained years ago, before I came here, before a lot of us came here. It was at about $14 million before we lost the $6 million over 4 years. So, you know, it was depleted. We're starting to put more money back into it. You know, so in a way, yes, your freezes did contribute. Yes, the step freezes and the base freezes, they contributed to that, and it was, you know, the board appreciates that. And we appreciate the sacrifice. We appreciate, excuse me, I have the floor. The board appreciates the fact that you made that sacrifice. It's not with blind eyes that we're looking. We understand the sacrifices that you made. We're just trying to do the best thing we can do financially for this district.
There is a, yes, there's one way in the back.
Way in the back.
Way in the back, sorry. Yes.
Right here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Adam Johns, newer community member. Adam Johns, JOHNS. Just a couple questions to back up. It seems like 25 minutes ago. You talked about steps and hiring teachers that move into the district, and their steps are, you know, guaranteed. Is there any proof of that? That's my first question. And then my second one, has, you know, school board, school district looked into a permanent improvement levy to where the school district would purchase things that would last up to 5 years, and you're able to purchase things from that fund? Therefore, you're not going into your savings account. I'm just curious, only because I work for a school district that does have that, and that's available.
So would you like to read to you what the current negotiated agreement states?
No, I read it on the website over the weekend.
The experience spread outside the district, you did read that?
No,
You were asking whether somebody, it is my understanding
somebody mentioned
that
steps earlier and how they were guaranteed. I'm just curious if there's actual
0 through
proof.
5 years, the state says you have to, if you have 3 years and you come into our district, we have to pay you 3 years.
The contract said that.
No, I'm curious if there's proof of that. I'm just curious.
You mean that it happened?
Yeah.
Or that's what the document says we have to do?
No, I want proof that it actually happened.
Well,
I don't understand what
you're negotiated, if you look at people that are new to our district and you see how many years they have and how many years they are, they have to.
Okay, I'm just curious.
And if it did, there was a mistake, because once in a while that happened, like somebody got to us and their step wasn't recognized because there was something with communication at the hiring, and then we straightened it out. I remember like once or twice, we hired them at a certain step, and then they went back and proved that they had the additional time and years, and then we changed it, approved them for what they came in their experience.
Okay. And then the permanent improvement PI money, has that ever been talked about?
So you are saying that you want us to put a PI levy on for $10 million, which will bring our
it doesn't have to be
buildings
$10 million.
No, well, that's what we need. I mean, what Garment and Miller showed us was over the next 5 years, am I misquoting, that we are going to have to spend $10 million to even keep our buildings up to code.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong, the PI money, though, can't be used on your buildings. It's got to be used for stuff in the classroom.
No, that is what the PI money is for.
Okay.
It is dwindling fast right now. We are not going to be able to end the year, I mean, where are we at with it?
We had, actually, our permanent improvement is actually funded a little different than what you're speaking of. Typically, it's another type of levy that can be generated, the same thing as a bond, as an operating levy. We don't have anything like that in place. We do have a permanent improvement fund. That is actually funded by what are called TIF districts. We receive about $250,000 of revenue into that fund yearly. Those funds are going to pay for textbooks, which are 5 years. They're going to buses, which have a greater life than 5 years. We can't use them for things like technology, which now doesn't have a 5-year life, for your computer, printers, things like that. But we are using that money. We've never pursued a permanent improvement levy from the taxpayers.
I guess what I want to be able to know is, so that means we'll have put out more taxes for our district in order to put a Band-Aid on what we currently have, as opposed to spending whatever our master plan comes out to, which is in and around 35 to 40 million, in order to have buildings that should last us 50 years. To me, that is a no-brainer.
See, I'm the rookie on the board. I've been here, this is my 8th year, and I will tell you that the majority of those 8 years that I've been on the board, I thought we were going to be getting a new building back up. I mean, we have tried multiple times to get some better buildings, so we didn't have to have this large, all this money to place on new things, So we have been working on new buildings for a considerable period of time, not having any vision at this point in time, this many years later, with the city.
And a point of clarification, that general funds can be moved into permanent improvement. Permanent improvement money can never go into general fund. Correct. General fund is what is used to pay salaries and food benefits, not permanent improvement.
And Celina did have a dedicated permanent improvement levy 15, 16 years ago. And when I first came on the board, I think it was our second attempt to renew it, and it was shot down. So there hasn't been anything since then about renewing that.
All right, is there another question over there? I saw that, yeah.
I would just suggest that before another levy would go on, to ask for building or permanent improvement, as a community member, I'm not going to vote for that until a teacher with 20 years experience is getting paid for 20 years experience, that the steps line up and they're restored to where they should be.
I got a question.
Yes.
My name's Dave Klosterman. I'm just from the public taxpayer.
Dave, can you spell your last name for me?
Klosterman.
Oh, Cluster, okay, thank you.
You can spell that, can't you?
I can.
My question is, I know a lot of you people been here for a long time. My kid's been out of school for 8 years, so all of you look pretty familiar. I was coming to school board meetings back then. My question is, if these people sign their contract today with what you offer them, what are you going to do for them in 3 years? What's your plan? You have no plan. What is your plan? You have no way of paying these people 3 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. You have no plan.
Dave, do you know why? What's the governor going to give us in 2 years when this budget's up? What?
Why are you asking me? You should ask the governor. That's your job.
The governor is not going to probably be there in those years. You might be our president. But anyway, you have to understand that the challenges that school funding faces, it's absolutely
I understand the challenges. My question is, what is the plan? What's the plan?
Right.
Do nothing? Keep putting money in the thing, and then 3 years from now say, sorry, we can't pay you again? What is the plan? Are we going to try to get a levy? Is that what we're going to try? Is that your plan?
We have to settle this one first. There's a 2-year, normally it has been passed, a 2-year contract based on the 2-year budget that comes out at the very last minute from the state.
Okay, I understand that. But 5 or 6 years ago, you balanced a budget or saved this school system on the backs of these people. Are we asking to do it again?
The board did not make that decision alone. They agreed to what is now in place. That's why you filed to negotiate the new contract. Everybody gets that part.
Dave, and here we're in the middle.
I understand. You got a thankless job.
Right.
I understand that.
I will tell you, for every single person that tonight has said, put a levy on to get more money to pay the teachers, and I understand that. If I was in your shoes, I would be doing the same.
I never said that.
But for every person here who said that, I had somebody in the public saying, don't you dare come and ask me for more money to pay the teachers more.
And so what do you say back? What do you say back to them when they say that?
I listen to them and I, try to listen to what they're saying. I said, we're in a tight spot because we're a teacher, and that's why we read the contract, see where we fall. We didn't get into this situation in 2 years. No. So guys, let's be honest. Can we fix it in 2 years? Have we not? No, I'm serious. How? Well, this happened over 5 to 6 years that we got in this situation. All right? Now we're making attempts as best we can, still being responsible to the taxpayers to start to increase that and make it better. All right? Now we're working, trust me, hard to do that. And then, you know, again, we're not going to fix 5 years in 2. We got to keep moving toward that. That's
You have to remember, the amount of money coming into our district has only recently been increased. It's not something that, like, we've been having all of this money come in and we said, you guys don't take anything, we need to build up our funds.
But the 8 million is what you're talking about there.
Yeah, I mean, it was 14 million a few years ago. It's not, and then, it's not like the state, like right now, we have the luxury of having more money coming in than we originally budgeted.
Will what you proposed to us come out of that 8 million?
Will we be,
Like, where does our contract, where does it come out of?
we are, what we propose to you, we believe is fiscally responsible, we're not going to deficit spend.
And that will come out of the reserve?
No.
And so that reserve is still there?
Yes.
Jackie, if we go into that reserve, we start spending $1 million this year, $2 million the next year, adding up $3 million next year because we're going to continue to get steps. What happens when that money runs out? Are you going to all take a $10,000 pay cut? No. Do you want to increase the taxes? No.
You asked us about our plan. Like, if we get into that deficit spending and we are in our 5-year forecast at a negative in year 2 or 3, we have to do what's called a reduction plan for the state. The state makes us say, this is how we're going to get out of deficit spending, okay? So if we are getting into our reserves and it's going down and we show that negative, we have to make a plan. And you know what that plan entails? Everything she's talking about. Reducing teachers, reducing programs, all those things. 80% of our budget is paying you guys. What if we have to take 20% of our budget and reduce in order to get ourselves out of it? We can't do it.
I'm just saying, Mike, do I have the floor again?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be out of line here. But I'm just saying, you people speak for me as my community. You speak for me.
Yes.
And when you run for school board, I know it's a thankless job. It's got to be. I know it is. Because you got to try to deal with everybody. But my question is, when you run for school board, you have to have a plan on what's going to make these schools better.
Yes.
And if a tax levy is the only plan that we've got, then you people have to get out there and you have to convince those people. Because that's what you're there for. You speak for us.
What if the majority is not for that?
If the majority is not for that, then you ask them. The people that say, don't you give me a tax levy, then you ask them, then what do we do?
But I think a lot of those people are speaking by not being here tonight. When you ask about our plan, we have a 5-year forecast. Would you review the rules of assumptions on income? We don't assume that a levy that expires will be. So we go into deficit spending 3 years down the road because we have to file a 5-year forecast. Which that tells us 3 years from now, we're out. We've peaked or we've not peaked by the funds that we think the state's going to send us and the revenue that the levies will generate. And here's the problem. We don't have that with the amount of money coming in right now and what we hope to get back in salaries, wages, and benefits. So there is a plan.
If we knew that the taxpayers would give us the dollars, that would be one thing, but I'm not confident.
Well, I can't, excuse me again, I'm sorry, but I can't see a school board sitting there getting ready to go into negotiations with their teachers and not knowing what the community really thinks. I don't understand that. I really don't.
Sir, I've had a farmer talk to me, I've had 3 guys from Honda talk to me, and I've had 1 guy from Reynolds and Reynolds talk to me.
Okay.
The Honda guy's got a 2% increase over 5 years.
Okay.
The Reynolds man tells me that he hasn't had an increase since 2009.
Okay.
And the farmer tells me he's gonna make less than $30,000 this year. What do you think their opinion is?
Okay.
He's putting a levy out.
Okay, now my question to you is, did you ask them what we do to fix our problem that we got right here teaching our kids? I don't really care if the farmers have problems. I don't really care what the guy at Honda got. I don't really
You
care.
have to represent them also.
I understand that, but you got to do that with a plan. You can't just wait until it's negotiation time and say, nope, we don't have no money. Sorry.
No, the problem is I believe we do have the money, and I believe what we've offered is fair. I do. It's better than anything you guys have ever seen. When you say we should have had a plan when we ran, I guess we're stagnant. If these new candidates that are running have a better plan, I'm going to be there tomorrow night to do it.
I hope they do. I hope they do.
First of all, we got to solve this together. And
Absolutely.
I understand a couple things. One, you got to reserve, and I understand not wanting to get in reserve. I understand that completely. Now, you mentioned that there's now more money coming in, correct?
From the state, from the last 5 years, or the last 2 years, showed us more than we had this 2 years before.
Okay. Now, what about, you also mentioned income. So, how much money do you get from income tax? I mean, has that increased?
Slightly.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all of that's considered as well. When you look at it,
We know how much money we have to spend. I mean, we have a plan. We know how much money we have to spend.
So, from the state, how much more money did you get the past 2 years than prior?
Are you talking the past 2 years or 2 years coming up?
So, do you know what you're going to
Yes,
get?
and
We don't know. We were given an approximation, and then we have to, the basis on how many kids we have. There's a lot of different factors that go into that number, but I've used the approximate number they gave us, and then we have to hope all those numbers come in. You know, as long as I make the best estimation on revenue I can, it's like your business. You estimate your revenue at the beginning of the year, and then, you know, different factors are going to dictate whether that money comes in or not. So, you know, we do the best we can. We came up with a dollar amount that will keep us in certainty, not take us into deficit spending. We're not looking to make a big profit here. It's not what we're doing. We're just trying to keep from going to deficit spending with permanent expenses.
All right. Excuse me. Yes. I have something to say. My name is Cindy Jolliffe, and the thing I want to address that gentleman there, and I hear what you're saying about farmers, about this and that, and I understand where their concerns are coming from, because a lot of older people don't want to increase in their income because they don't have children in the school system. I get all that. I also understand the frustration that teachers are having because they can't put out what their expectations of the whatever negotiations and stuff like that. As a community person, I think the community is lacking in knowledge. And what I think this gentleman back here was stating, that as a board, I think you need to educate the community.
Absolutely.
Not so much, this is what we don't have, this is what we have, but educate those that cannot come tonight, those that don't understand what really is taking place, because I think it's important.
There was one way in the back before these two, and I don't know if he still wants to.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Matt Schimmelbecker, and I agree with her as a member of the community. I was asked here by a teacher, not by a board member. And I travel a lot, so I don't get the news a lot. I don't see the newspaper. I tend not to read the newspaper. But I didn't see a notice where the school board asked the community to come in to be a part of this negotiation or be a part of this meeting tonight. I was asked by a teacher to come here. So to second that, if you want to communicate to the public that's paying these tax dollars to run the school system, it's a good idea to communicate to them openly. Not say you're speaking for me when you've never spoke to me about it. Follow what I'm saying?
What you're saying we should have done as a board, and you can throw your tomatoes, is gone out, worn our board shirts every Friday, passed out things at the football games, put them on cards, and said to everyone that we are trying to be fair.
I'm saying
Now,
it
I
could
said,
have been
go
in the
right ahead
paper
and
or
prove it,
open
but
on
that's what I'm
radio.
hearing you say.
You didn't say that.
No, I didn't say that at all. Communicate to the public what the issues are. It's as simple as that.
It's money.
Communicate that then.
We did. I don't know where that was missed. I'm sorry. I've read every newspaper article. I've listened to the news. Money is the issue when you get down to the bottom line bargaining.
Again, I was asked by a teacher to come here tonight. Okay? I have children in the school district, and I am proud of this school district. What I was saying is, there is all types of ways. You could have just said, there's a board meeting tonight. It doesn't have to be on t-shirts. It doesn't have to be on flyers. You could have put something on the radio. I'm sure that someone would have put that out there on the WCSM or whatever that, I don't even know. The free community news could have been out there. And then so more community people that really do not mind paying tax dollars would be here if
And
they
I
knew.
think your suggestion is very well noted. Every school board meeting is in the paper, it is open to the public, and is not supposed to be about negotiations. We opened this up tonight because of the show of people. A board meeting is no place for negotiations like that. I think what we're hearing is that we need to have another meeting this week and invite the community to come hear the issues, the differences.
I hate to tell you, but there is a lot of public people that if they came here, they would be intimidated to say their piece. So some of them have come to us, have had phone calls, emails, and letters, concerned and afraid to say how they feel. They're feeling that we're operating here.
Well, it's not easy to talk, as you can hear my voice shaking.
No, it's not.
But
especially if you're talking in support of the board, then you worry, and you have children in the district, then you worry about how your children are going to be treated. You said they did not put out their support because they're afraid of representation of their children.
Okay, this guy is first before you do anything else.
Okay.
Kevin Grice. Mr. Gilmore, since you had addressed in the paper and on social media, could you please explain why posting the proposals from the CAA on the board and the district's website, the proposals from the CAA and the board on the district's website is not an unfair labor practice and in violation of Ohio collective bargaining law?
It was not illegal.
I said it was not illegal, because the implication in that post was that it was somehow criminal in nature, and it is not criminal in nature. By law.
Is there a ORC that allows, because you quoted something about the sunshine law, I was just wondering if you could, I was asking.
No, I was clarifying the earlier post, you cited, 4117.20, I think, which simply says that, the media cannot use the sunshine law to get the negotiations particularly.
I'd like to follow up with, I find it a little unfair. We spent an hour talking about very complicated, complex financial issues, 5-year forecasts, deficit spending, terms that most average people don't understand, and yet you post it on the website and ask for an understanding and ask them to call you based on a couple numbers thrown out on some scratched out lines in the proposal. And I just, as a community member, don't think that's right.
nights not sleeping and whatever,
Facebook.
I said to myself, if I'm elected by the people, and the only people that I'm getting any kind of feedback from are school personnel's family, I'm only getting one side of what the community is saying.
But you just said you heard from farmers and Huffy or Honda. You already heard from those people.
I'm sorry. You understand what I'm saying?
No. No. Still unfair labor practice.
I've heard from other people since I posted that out on Facebook.
Try to get with some time.
And the same reason.
I think it's unfair to ask for quick responses based on a couple documents being thrown up on the internet over the weekend.
I thought it was fair.
We've spent over an hour and a half trying to understand our very complicated issues. I would just encourage you, like these other two, just again, tell them to come to a meeting. Come sit here and hear all that. No one believes in democracy more than me. If everyone in this community says pay our teachers zero and close the schools, we're fine. That's fine. You are paid to represent us. But make sure you're representing everybody, and make sure you're representing everybody fairly, and make sure that you're going to every length you can to do that. That's all I'm asking.
Do you think both sides are represented fairly tonight?
Yeah, they're on
to your side?
Yes, I do, because I believe every member of the public was as welcome to come to this meeting as I was.
Were they as encouraged?
I'm hearing, in a sense, one of the things was before we did the posting, a lot of the thing was, fair contract and that type of thing. And the hard part for me was the definition of fair is very subjective. So I'm trying to educate the best I can. And yes, it is very complicated. Believe me, I've spent 12 years and I still don't feel like I have it. But I think I'm hearing also that they want to be educated. They want to know what's going on. They want the specifics. And the only way I can possibly know it without misrepresenting is to actually put what is on there. Unless you wanted like a whole tutorial going with it, we could do that. I'm all for that. But I think it more has to do with, nothing can be hurt with the truth. And it just has to be out there, and they want to know about it, and everybody wants to know about it. And I understand that nobody's going to agree with me, but here is going to agree with me. But I think I'm hearing a lot of people say thank you for putting that out there, because I didn't know when they were asking for fair, I didn't know what fair was, and I didn't know what was out there. So it's very, very subjective as to what is fair.
And Kenny to put out there, call him. He encourages people to call him, get a hold of him, and he's getting feedback, and so is the rest of us from the community.
What I'm hearing is, and government teachers tell me if I'm wrong, you want a direct democracy, not a representative democracy that exists in the schools.
What's fair is the CEA doesn't feel like they are allowed to put that information out, and so they don't. I think the board feels that they are. They're going to ask for $1 million a year for the next 10 years, and that would mean really anything, because they're proposals, and where facts are found are during fair mediations between the board and the teachers working together to reach a resolution, and then telling the taxpayer, this is what you represented me to do on your behalf years ago, this is what I did, and sticking by your own decision, not putting it out for a straw poll vote on the internet.
But do you realize that mediation is at the end of their 38-day mediation period?
I understand. It's very
complex.
It's as complex as
could be. I'm sorry, I thought I was talking. I think, yes. I call that I put out a motion that we approve the consensus agenda.
Yeah. I will exceed the 30 minutes because I thought it would be helpful, and I hope it has. I do want you all to know that you are appreciated. This is tough. We got a tough job. We got to balance the financial responsibility to our community and delivering the best we can with our teachers. And I assure you, we're doing our best at trying to achieve that, for you to get back with negotiations and get this resolved. Okay? Cindy, motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gilmore. Nick. Davis.
Under my report, number one is approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2015 regular meeting and the August 21st, 2015 special board meeting. Approve the checks written in August 2015 of $2,889,801.36. Total expenditures for the same month were $2,886,337.94. Approve investments for the period, the balance as of September 21st. $15,251,568.86. Approve the August 2015 SM2 report. We do have two donations from the Tax Machine Works. Donation to TriStar in the amount of $2,500. The purpose is purchase of capital reserve. And also a donation from the Cooper Family Foundation that goes to the high school in the amount of $500. Purpose for the V.H. Cooper Scholarship. Approve the FY16 permanent appropriations as noted in the attachment. Approve a now and then performance heating and air in the amount of $52,3077. That was for the water heater at the middle school. And then approve the attachment 5 for the contract addendum for the Mercer County ESC. That was added in response to our Medicaid audit, that we needed to get additional contract language for a vendor that they were the sole provider of the services noted in the contract.
Any questions for Mr. Davis?
Just what does MSP mean? On the contract addendum?
It's the addendum has MSP.
MSP program.
That's the Medicaid audit. MSP is Medicaid Spending Program. Yes.
Any other questions? Mr. McKee.
Okay, under personnel item 1, recommend approval of the following substitutes for the upcoming for this school year 2015-16. Items 2 through 6, recommend the approval to accept 60-day probationary contracts for Diane Davenport, teacher assistant at the high school, Jeanette Tyndall, bus aide at Head Start, Jody Miller, teacher assistant at the elementary school, and Angela Gingrich, aide at Head Start, Diane Hausfeld, cafeteria worker at the elementary school. Items 7 through 12, recommend the approval of a change of contracts for Sarah Louts, Head Start, it's at the Rockford site, as a 4-hour teacher and a 2-hour family advocate to a 6.5-hour teacher position. Item 8, Patricia Gasher from Head Start bus driver to Celina City bus driver. Rich Nooning from Head Start bus aide to Celina City bus aide. Item 10, Carla Smith from a 3 to 4-hour bus aide. Item 11, Marissa Sexton from a 5.69 hour to a 6.5-hour Head Start teaching assistant. And Jane Fosnoff, teacher assistant, is requesting 1 week update, and that's an attachment A. And then the last 2 items, recommend the approval to hire Ellen Sutter for maintenance and Annette Moran, custodian at the CAP building. And then under resolutions, recommend the approval of the resolution between Celina City Board of Education and the Ohio Association of Public School Employees, Local 457, which provides for a reduction in the number of classified employees in the school district due to the abolishment of positions, lack of funds, or lack of work. And that's an attachment B. Last month, I hit on some building maintenance. I talked about the roof leaks, which were about $50,000+. The air conditioner at the middle school, which was $40,000, and then we already touched on the things that we replaced already this month. 2 freezer condensers at the elementary school were about $4,000. Hot water heater at the middle school was about $5,500. And today we replaced 2 food steamers for about $15,000.
And then the truck?
We're getting close.
Okay.
Kind of shopped around a bit. That's it.
Any other questions for Mr. Beasley? Okay, Dr. Sneezing is not here tonight. I've asked Mr. Davis to give this report.
Under personnel, number 1 is to recommend the approval of the following substitutes for the 2015-16 school year. As listed below, recommend the approval to accept the retirement of Carol Schroyer, Executive Director of Mercer County Head Start, effective December 31st, 2015, after 20 years of service, and we would certainly like to commend her for 20 years she's provided to the district.
Is Carol here tonight? No, we do want to thank her. She's done a phenomenal job and her staff with those students. Awesome. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Davis.
Recommend the approval for a change of contract due to increased student population effective 8/21/15 for Claire Busher and Amy Lubke, Title I teachers, from a half FTE to 0.6 FTE each. Recommend the approval to rescind supplemental contracts for Ashley Layfeld, Christy Hess, half-time FTE Literary Magazine, and approve Christy Hess 1 FTE Literary Magazine, Class 6 for the 2015-16 school year. Recommend the following changes of supplemental contracts for Joey Braun will move from assistant 7th grade football to head 8th grade football. Jimmy Kimmel will move from 8th grade head football coach to assistant football coach, 8th grade. Amy Flippo from 4th grade cluster manager, halftime, not Amy Stahman, as reported in a different board agenda. Recommend the approval of the following supplemental contracts for the school year. Jason Mookie, 2015 Summer School Coordinator, 0.0775 of administrator base at a half FTE. Phil Metz, 2015 Summer School Coordinator, 0.0775 of administrator base at a half FTE. Also the approval of the following supplemental contracts, years of experience to be determined by the new contract. That list is provided below. Number 7 is to recommend the approval of the following personnel for pupil activity program contracts for the school year. Years of experience to be determined by new contract. That list provided below. Recommend the approval of the following volunteers for the school year. Jenna Hodge, girls basketball volunteer. Scott Miller, 9th grade football volunteer. Recommend the approval to add Jenny Offerman as an athletic worker for the 15-16 school year. And for the following resolutions, recommend the approval of an overnight trip for 5th grade gifted students to Chicago on May 12th and 13th, 2016. Recommend the approval of the career advising policy, and recommend approval of the 2015-16 tuition rate of $5,827.27. The Head Start report has been attached. Under TriStar, recommend approval to hire Rob Maker for adult ed to teach basic adult machining classes. Rate of pay is $1,400 per credit hour with expenses reimbursed by Wright State. Recommend approval to appoint Terry Ramel to the TriStar Advisory Board as one of the 2 representatives from the Celina City School District. Recommend approval to accept the donation for PAX Machine Works, which I already covered under my program. Mr. Busher also noted the donation will be used specifically to purchase 2 3D printers for the engineering and precision machining program. Recommend approval to accept the donation from Roy McGinnis of St. Mary's, Ohio, of a 1991 Ford Ranger Super Cab valued at approximately $500 for automotive technology programming, and this is for learning purposes. And that concludes the superintendent's portion of the board meeting.
Okay, I asked Mr. Belmetz to talk to us about Top and the FBLA advisor. We were under the understanding that that group has dissolved and the money, the account was to be used for some other activities, and we're bringing it back.
We had an opportunity to bring back our Future Business Leaders of America, kind of along the lines of what Tim spoke on here earlier. We're doing a lot of career exploration at the high school. working in conjunction with Jared Ebbing and Rod Morman as far as getting our students out, taking a look at what's local in business and industry. Todd approached me with the idea of starting up this Future Business Club again, give them an opportunity to do a little bit of fundraising, take a look at some field trips, go take a look at what sort of businesses and what sort of business folks are in the community, and get a chance to kind of look a little bit about our community and business opportunities.
Is the job description the same as it was when it was previously in effect?
He's just a club advisor.
There's no increase in the duties, decrease in the duties, as far as placing on the salary schedule for that column. Okay.
Cindy, 2 years ago, that was reduced from a class 6 to a class 5 to a 6. It dropped 1.
Okay.
But that was 2 years ago.
And it was functioning there. Okay.
So, should the board approve that program tonight, we will need a budget for the remaining calendar year. If Todd wants to do some fundraising for that, and then he'll be on the cycle for the 2016 calendar year as well.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll talk about the Channel 6 thing in 1 second. Any questions for Mr. Davis about Dr. Sneezing's report?
Yes, ma'am.
I think on number 6, the summer school should be 2016, summer school instead of 2015, summer school.
Oh, it is.
On both of those.
It's next year.
Next year.
I
thought this was going back. Okay.
Thank you, Marcy. Okay.
I wasn't sure until I got here because Dr. Sneezing potentially was going to attend, so he might have had this information. So, Mr. Micel, Mr. Bacher, Mr. Fultz, I don't want to put you on the spot. I wasn't sure you're going to be here tonight. The Channel 6 program is years past. This was a phenomenal thing that was done in the junior high. Kind of made some changes through the years, and now, I'm happy to say we're going to get to continue it. And now divided it into 3 people sharing it. And I don't want to put you on the spot for tonight. If you can answer it and you want to, fine. Otherwise, we're inviting you to come back at the next meeting. And we would like to hear about what you have planned for the program. We love the program. We think it's a great thing. And we would like to dialogue and know what you're doing about it, what the plan is, how responsibilities are going to be shared, and the responsibilities. Because I think it has a lot of great opportunities. So is it something you want to address now, or you would like to bring to the next meeting?
That's fine. I can talk about it. Yeah, that's fine. Basically, the way it works right now, and I know a lot of community members have called me because they're struggling getting the channel, and I've spoke with Time Warner and Wabash about it, and basically they don't really care because it's a free channel that they give to us. So if we have issues with it, they say, oh, it's got to be this, then they sweep it under the rug. So I'm sorry if you had those issues. I know a lot of the digital receivers, they claim is the issue, but people have them. It still doesn't work. I'm not sure what the problem is. But the majority of it is athletic events. Is basically how we need it. That's the majority time that it takes. And I'm not sure if it was the board or who it was who talked to WKKI and put in a partnership with them that if they broadcast all our games, we would play it on Channel 6 and we would add their advertisers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Mr. Steiner kind of talked about that.
Yeah, so basically that is every football game, varsity football game, every varsity boys and girls basketball games. Spring sports, I'm also the baseball coach. I asked him, okay, when I originally took the job, what do you want me to do about spring sports? I guess they don't really care about spring sports. Basically what he said.
The coaches or the citizens or the fans or
At the time, the administrators, I guess, they told me not to worry about spring sports as far as filming and putting them on the air. So, okay. The rest of it, board meetings, obviously, we weren't sure. I wasn't sure if I was going to be involved again this year, and then we decided to try to divvy up the time. And that's an agreement between the 3 of us. I'm taking care of football season. They're taking care of basketball season since there are 24 games, boys and girls. is how we're splitting up our time. I'll do the editing, things like that. We try to get as many school events as possible without exposing the kids on the air. Pep rallies, things like that. The kids don't always have their forms turned in to be, pictures displayed to the public, things like that. So I try to avoid those.